Is Canon planning on releasing two versions of the much anticipated Canon EOS R1? Could one of the cameras with registration number ID 0179 actually be a cinema version of the EOS R1? This wouldn't be the first time that Canon's released a 1 series cinema camera. Want to know more? Well then stick around after this short break for all the details. But first, subscribe to stay up to date on the latest camera news. And for all the minor news stories, all those news stories not quite big enough to have their own separate video, follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. When Canon registered two cameras on February the 4th, 2024, it was obvious that DS126922 was the Canon EOS R1. But what about the other device, ID 0179? Now that's left many of us scratching our heads, kind of wondering what this could be. Could it be some sort of new project as E8M had indicated, or could it be a completely new camera or a refresh of a cinema camera? And that poses the most interesting, well, thought here. And bear with me for a second. If we go back just a couple of years ago, this camera here, the Canon EOS R5C, well, it had the registration number of ID 0159. That's just 20 below 179. Now, the numbers themselves, I'm not going to do numerology or anything like that. There's nothing into the numbers to indicate anything, but it's a very similar type number, starting with ID versus DS. And that leads me to believe that, well, something might be going on here, that Canon could be getting ready to announce a cinema version of the Canon EOS R1. In December 2012, Canon released the 1DC. That was a cinema version of the Canon EOS 1D with a resolution of 18.1 megapixels. Could Canon be getting ready to release a cinema version of the Canon EOS R1 right alongside a photocentric version? This has potential, and this makes an awful lot of sense. I hate what Canon did with the R5, releasing the R5, a video-centric hybrid, stills hybrid camera, mirrorless camera, and then a year later releasing the R5C. If we are getting two versions of the R1, releasing them both at the same time certainly makes an awful lot of sense. And this would also, if we're getting two different models, this would also be another theory as to why we're getting so many different, well, specifications. Not just that we're dealing with multiple different prototypes, but the prototypes could be completely different models. I'm not the only one who's thinking this. Bill Martin thought the same thing, and he's what's inspired me to do this video. Let's go back and take another look at those Canon R1 specs posted by Canon Rumors on June the 23rd, 2023 as possible specs for the Canon EOS R1C. A 45 megapixel stack sensor, a new autofocus system, and this line right here. One source did say that the video features or video firmware, the code, would be developed by the Cinema EOS team. Developed by the Cinema EOS team. Wow, that's pretty bold and that's pretty exciting. Now, when I first saw these specifications posted by Canon Rumors, I thought, well, that's interesting. Interesting that the Cinema EOS team would be, well, responsible for the video capabilities of a stills hybrid camera. I thought that to be a little bit strange. Now, if there's a cinema version of the EOS R1, having the cinema team responsible for that, well, that would make an awful lot of sense. In fact, it seems to make a huge amount of sense, at least from my point of view, especially considering Canon's track record. Again, we're not asking an old dog to learn new tricks. They did this with the 1DC. They came out with a Cinema 1 series camera. And when we go back and look at the EOS R1 specifications, posted again by Canon Rumors, citing a reliable source, a CR2, and this was on January the 19th, talking about a photocentric camera aimed at sports fast action photographers, it makes an awful lot more sense. No 8K video, a DGO stack sensor, and a resolution around 30 megapixels. And this is why I'm smiling. This is why I'm excited, because I really, when Bill put this comment out there, I kind of looked at it and I thought back and I thought, you know what? This actually makes an awful lot of sense. And when I saw that the registration number for this camera is the same as what we saw with the R5C, again, I thought, okay, so we're going to get a cinema camera announced at the same time or in around the same time as the Canon EOS R1. Well, NAB 2024 isn't till April, so to get a registration for a camera to be announced then, well, it's plausible, and we're definitely due for a refresh. But then I thought, well, wait a minute here. They were both registered on the same day, not a few days later, not the same week, but the same day. And I thought about it. I realized, well, all we have to do is go back and look at the 1DC. We can see that Canon has done this in the past where they've released a cinema version of the 1 series camera. And so for Canon to actually have two separate cameras, a Canon EOS R1 and a Canon EOS R1C, that allows them to change up the specifications very significantly, one aimed at video and one aimed at stills. And this would allow Canon to come out with a jack of all trades, a true master of everything, learning from their mistakes that they made with a Canon EOS R5C and coming out with the R1C. I think this makes an awful lot of sense. And do you remember that source I told you about that said we're going to get an announcement 7 to 10 days before CP+? Well, this person was just conjecturing with me, saying that I wouldn't be surprised to see if we get a camera that's around 30 megapixels and another one around 48 megapixels. And I kept kind of ignoring that, realizing, well, hold on a minute here. We're not getting any, you're not telling me this is coming from a source. You're just kind of forecasting this. And I didn't really have anything to go on. But now, realizing that we could potentially be getting two separate cameras, as we have two separate registrations, we don't have any other cameras that are due for a refresh. The R6 Mark II, that's already been refreshed. We just recently got the R8 and the R50 last year in January, and the R100, let's not talk about the worst camera of the year for 2023. That was announced shortly thereafter. And the R7 and the R10, they're not really ready for a refresh. It's been about 2 years for those cameras. The only thing that we're really needing an update for is the R1, the R5, as well as a whole slew of cinema cameras. To be able to produce a cinema version of the Canon EOS R1 now allows us to dream and think big to potentially get a camera that's not going to be aimed at sports and fast action. That would be the EOS R1, but the R1C, 45 megapixels or more. Now all those other specifications seem to come back, 85 megapixels. And Mark, you've been saying, along with others, all along that we're getting the R1 to produce 12K video or 12K oversampled 8K. And this is certainly a whole lot more plausible now with the two registrations, indicating that we could have two separate cameras. But what do you think? Do you agree with me and Bill Martin and my other source, or do you think that it's just coincidence that we're going to get the Canon EOS R1 and something else not being the Canon EOS R1C? Well, we should know very shortly. We are supposed to be getting a, development announcement teaser or some other campaign hinting at the R1 coming from Canon in 7 to 10 days before CP+. And while you might see that I have smart pre-order links in the description down below, and I also have them right here, they won't be able to help you right now, but if you want to go ahead and bookmark those, what they're going to be able to do is show you every single kit version offered by Adorama, B&H, and Amazon.com. And as soon as the embargo is lifted, whether that be late February, but I think it's going to be March, then you'll be able to pre-order and get your orders in before anybody else. Get yourself a little bit higher up in the queue, because if it looks like we're getting two cameras here, now this has me a whole lot more excited that we could be getting a really big master of everything in the R1C, a stills hybrid camera, a video camera all in one. And then of course, for those shooting the Olympics or other sports and fast action photography, well, then you can go ahead with a 30 megapixel Canon EOS R1. And we don't know it's 30 megapixels. We believe it to be somewhere around there because, again, all the leaked specifications that we have for either camera at this point are, I would say almost completely nonsense. We don't have anything specific, nothing validated. The only thing we know for sure is that the R1 is going to be refreshed very shortly and that we have two registrations. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And a big thanks to everybody that has used my affiliate links to purchase camera gear from Amazon, B&H, and Adorama, these ones right here, because it really does help this channel grow. I get anywhere from 2 to 12% back, which is allowing me to purchase new camera gear, such as the 100 to 500, the 200 to 800. And who knows, maybe even the Canon EOS R1C. I'm going to have to wait and see what that camera's all about. I'm pretty excited by it. I hope this is right. But you know what? When Bill Martin wrote that comment, it was almost like I got an epiphany and I thought, oh my God, this all makes sense. And I started going back to previous posts I'd seen in the past, previous videos that I had covered. And I thought, this is the most plausible thing and makes sense based on Canon's track record. So I'm really excited. But again, thanks to everybody that has used my affiliate links in the past. It really does keep this channel going. So thank you very much. And again, if you do use the affiliate links, guys, it doesn't cost you anything extra. You're not paying any more. But that's it for now. Wouldn't be surprised if we have another video coming out today, tomorrow, or the next day. Things are really starting to shake and happen. I'm pretty excited. I can't even get my words out. But thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon. And thank you, Bill, for that idea for a video. Cheers. Bye-bye now.